All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming to yet another episode of Getting to Know Contributor Firesides. I'm here with Manfred Touron. He's the Chief Technical Officer for Gno.land. Thanks for being here, Manfred. Cool. So let's get this started. Before we dive into the questions I have, would you mind introducing yourself with a brief overview of your journey here?
My journey here. So I started contributing to a repository named Gno, managed by a single person named Jay. And I made what I used to doing for 10 years, discovering a project, an open source project, finding bugs, and opening pull requests to propose changes. And actually, Jay found someone who was able to read his code. It was the first proof that what he was doing was readable. And he found someone who was interested by the project. So basically, the same day, he discovered that, oh, I can switch from working alone on Gno to scale to 2 and more people. So we discussed, we contributed together. And at some point, we decided to run the real project, to hire people to go to the next level. So I started as a contributor, as the first one, and then I basically proposed to manage the first hirings and to scale the project to where it is today.
Oh, that's awesome. So you're actually the first contributor. I didn't know that.
The first external contributor. Jay is the first contributor. For
Oh,
1
okay,
year,
right.
he was alone. I was the first external contributor joining the project.
Interesting. So my next question is, how did you find out about Cosmos? Is that how you found out, by finding that the repo?
So I was in the ICO, and then I forgot about Cosmos. So yeah, I discovered the Cosmos 5 years ago, just as a project with a vision, and I definitely loved the vision. And then I discovered Cosmos again by making the link between Gno and J and Cosmos. So I discovered Gno, then J, and then you just Google his name and you understand quickly who is this guy. So yeah, discovered twice, and it was twice time a pleasure.
That's crazy. So you were in the ICO for Cosmos, but you're also the first external contributor to Gno.land. So you mentioned that you kind of had an early start in Cosmos, but is there anything in particular that you like about the vision of Cosmos?
Several blockchains, Internet of Blockchains, so working on making creation of blockchains easy and specialization of blockchains. I really believe specialization is the key to scale. And finally, IBC. So yeah, the two elements so basically I come from the cloud ecosystem. I was working on real hardwares and data centers. And when you want to scale, you need the two ingredients. You need to have servers, and you need to have ways to automate booting servers and connecting servers together. And that's that's basically what we are doing here. Well, it's not server, it's a blockchain, and it's not a connection between servers, it's IBC. But in practice, that's the way I believe we can scale systems and specialize systems. So it was speaking a lot to me, but in the Web3 world.
Is that one of the motivators that had you joining Gno.land? Like, you're interested in Cosmos, you're interested in blockchain?
No, the Gno was the reason. Before Gno, I was working full-time on Bertie, and Bertie was a mix of peer-to-peer and cryptography to never have a consensus. The role of Bertie was to create privacy and so censorship-proof, censorship-resistant communication. And for censorship-resistant communication, what you need is to allow network to split, what we name a network split. So basically, consensus was a bad word for us, because as soon as you need a consensus, you can be censored, you can be isolated, and you can be DDoS. But then I wanted to discover the other big usage of peer-to-peer cryptography, which is not about censorship communication, but about consensus and blockchains. So I was looking for the most Go-centric, the most Go-focus blockchain project. And on GitHub, I found a project named Gno, written in Go, writing Go, creating a new version of Go. So it was a Go blockchain for Go smart contracts. And I said, this one is a good one to actually discover what I still don't know in my field. So I discovered blockchains internals with Gno. And as I said, I just made contributions to a project because it had bugs. And by doing this, I discovered the rest of the project. And finally, Cosmos. So yeah, I discovered Gno thanks to GitHub search engine by writing Golang blockchain.
Oh, that's crazy. That's cool. Cool. So, I mean, you started as the first external contributor, and then you've moved your way up to chief technical officer. Can you fill us in a little bit on your work as CTO?
So actually, my main mission is to bootstrap everything. So at first, I was just building code. Quickly after the building code, I noticed some areas of the project where we need to have specialized full-time developers. So then we hired developers. They are now working on the technical part more than I do. Actually, I miss writing code. I hope I will be able to write more code later. So initially writing code and basically defining everything, because when I joined Jay on the project, we had the Gno language, we had the basic Tendermint fork, which was not yet named Tendermint 2, and together we chose to make a very different version of Tendermint 2, a new consensus, proof of contribution, to create the network of DAOs the way we are seeing it, to launch Game of Friends, to make Independence Day for the airdrop. So we decided several things together. We had to define them, to explain them to engineers. So yeah, first phase code, second phase definition, clarification, architecture specification, third phase hiring, and now I'm more about automating. So hiring middle managers so they can scale smaller teams. So basically scaling the company by reorganizing better and focusing better and having more clear roadmap, more clear processes, etc. So yeah,
So
I don't feel like a CTO or whatever. I feel like a co-founder of a project. And as a co-founder of a project, your job is to do what needs to be done, not what your role is saying. So for instance, I do a lot of marketing sometimes just because we need it at the moment. And yeah, I enjoy this. It worked pretty good, I think. It's relatively easy to just do what needs to be done and to try to automate as soon as it becomes too frequent.
Yeah, so obviously the things that you're doing have constantly been changing because you kind of helped to build this thing from the ground up. You hired people, you sort of coordinated, you got everything organized. But what does a normal day look like? Like, do you have like a sort of structure of like what an average day kind of has?
So for the last month, I would say the average day is half of the day of meetings, several one-ones, ad hoc meetings, architecture meetings, weekly meetings. So a lot of meetings. The rest of the time, I basically try to work on long or on chores. Can be administrative chores, definition, etc. Right now, I try to reserve a decent amount of time to explain things. So I work closely with Christina, who is basically the technical writer right now. And with Christina, I try to explain complex topics, either for presentation format, blog post formats, or we are studying other formats. If you take the months before, I think I was coding a lot. If you take the months even before, the average day was different. So yeah, right now, meetings, coordination, explanation. And to be honest, the sooner I switch to another average day, the better. If I can reduce the amount of meetings and do more code and do more public workshops, I would be more in my comfort zone.
You're ready to get back to coding, huh? Teaching people how to code.
Yeah, coding in workshops. Definitely what I love the most.
Well, yeah, I mean, around launch, that's probably gonna be your focus, right?
My focus, it's hard to anticipate. I think it will be where we need, where there is the biggest imbalance problem. So let's see. For instance, one of my current priorities was to focus on DevRel topic, just because it was a new topic. The core team topic was pretty autonomous. I was able to not interact a lot with the core team, and it was autonomous, while I was able to focus on a new problem. If I tried to leave the core team maybe 1 month before, it could have been very more difficult. So yeah, now it's about automating DevRels, an important focus, because we are building not a product for users. We're not building an app. We are building an ecosystem for developers, so that developers build apps for users. So DevRel is basically about communication with our main target, the developer.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of a good sign that there's a lot of focus on DevRels, because that means we're kind of getting developers onboarded and making sure that there's a structure to make sure that they can get the support they need, right?
Yeah.
So let's kind of move into Gno.land now. I kind of wanted to start with the simple question of like, what do you feel is the core philosophy of Gno.land?
So just to specify to listeners, Gno.land for me is a blockchain, has a different philosophy from Gno, the language, the software. Gno is about reusability, fork, being an important milestone in the area of Web3 infrastructure. So in the world of computer science, Gno has a pivotal role, and there will be evolutions of Gno, probably thanks to Gno. That's what I expect. I think we will inspire next generations. I consider that we're doing the next generations. And Gno.land, it's really more about community, a vision of how we should use it, because Gno is a technology and can be used in so many ways. Gno.land, if we need to compare between Gno.land and other Gno-powered blockchains, has a goal to become the home of the next open source. Like before GitHub, you add open source, and GitHub arrived and put open source to the next level. I think we have the same role to be a new GitHub, different, definitely not in direct competition, but providing similar new paradigm on how to make open source. While, for instance, Gno.land, your blockchain could be just about running a single application for end users and scaling it. Yeah, Gno.land is less about applications and more about sharing code, sharing resources, sharing good libraries, sharing data, and actually to be a hub of contracts for other blockchains. So the philosophy is really around the community. People should not expect to be on Gno.land necessarily. It's an open permissionless blockchain, but in practice, once we will have multiple blockchains running Gno, the ones we will run ourselves and the one other people will run, maybe people will have more interest to not be on Gno.land but on another blockchain. If you look at the Cosmos ecosystem today, it's definitely a good entry point to come in the Cosmos, but I think in terms of usage, most people will use more Osmosis than Cosmos. And I think it will be the same. We will be a hub. Some people will exclusively use Gno.land, and maybe some others will not care that much about this chain and just care about using Gno power chains on the edge. So yeah, really a community of contributors, a hub for contracts, a hub for governance, a hub for tools, and maybe a hub for longevity in terms of if we run several blockchains. I think this one is the one where we'll try to have the longest uptime in tens of years. So when you have such ambition, you need to have a philosophy about simplicity, limitations, and focusing on core values, core components. While as soon as we are excited by an idea, as soon as we want to innovate, to experiment, because we are definitely, and I particularly I am very excited by experiments and innovation. the goal is not to restrict yourself on those fields, just to do them on the edge. So Gno.land will be the hub powering chains where I can experiment safely. So yeah, philosophy, community, simplicity, long term, and being a hub, but not a hub of consensus. It will be. We will have ICS, but it's more a hub of contracts to power the whole ecosystem of Gno contract wherever the Gno contract is located at the end.
So how do you see that working, I guess, technically? You know, if Gno.land is sort of a library of smart contracts, how will other
ICS is about security. Today, most people will associate security with consensus because it's definitely one of the most important points of a blockchain and a network of blockchains. We need to secure the consensus. We need to decentralize blockchains. The vision we have with ICS is it's about sharing security. It's about increasing security. It's about mutualizing and basically providing more security. Good contracts on Gno.land. So the contract with or without data, maybe it can be about data, but I think just good libraries making safe. I don't know. Maybe there will be a very safe DEX library, reviewed, audited, maintained with everything. Yeah, all the things about securing the developer and the end users. Because as soon as you are using a library which is safe, trustable, with history, etc., you provide security. So the ICS the S of ICS is not only about consensus. We want to provide ICS security regarding the consensus. We also want to provide other resources. IBC is definitely about exchanging assets. And in our case, we will exchange assets using ABC. We will also allow contracts to connect to other contracts to do business applications. But in ICS, we want to provide security for the consensus, to provide security for the contract. So to basically allow a new blockchain, Gno.land, to run, and from day one be secured partially by ICS in terms of validators, but also secured by the Gno.land ecosystem of contracts, so the GitHub part of Gno.land. By providing this, you can run your Gno.land blockchain in 1 day, in 1 week, like in proof of stake, quickly. But you can also offer security for your developers and for the end users, that they will use secure applications, secure dApps running on Gno.land. So basically, it's you have IBC to make exchanges. You have ICS, which is basically a protocol using ABC to share the security regarding validators, and we will add another layer about contracts sharing, with this goal to make Web3 safer to use for everyone, and safer to use not only for the end user, because when the developer has very strong libraries, it makes it even easier to bootstrap a blockchain or to use an existing one to start your dApp. It costs less. You don't have to make as much audit as on Solidity contract, for instance, or to run a new app chain. So yeah, providing security through IBC ICS and not limited to consensus.
Okay. I do actually have a couple community questions. Are you interested in going through those?
Mm-hmm.
This person asks, what are the guiding principles in proof of contributions merit to credit conversion structure?
Not sure to understand the last part.
Yeah, I think we could probably cut out the merit to credit conversion structure, but he's basically asking, what are the guiding principles in proof of contribution? I think he wants to know like where it's coming from, like the idea where if you contribute, you get credit.
Okay, so the main idea of proof of contribution is to not have the same. So if we come back in history, proof of work was the first automated system where as soon as you run it, it's hard to kill it, and it's automated. It automatically works when it works well. It automatically punish when you had bad behavior. And by having this automatic system, you have a system that's running for 15 years right now, without any single central point. Proof of stake is using money, is using staking to manage the same system, because money is something you definitely want to win more and you don't want to lose. So you are incentivized to be a good actor, to take some risk, some good risk, and you will be punished if you make a bad action or if you have bad quality or yeah, basically you can be punished. Those things works well to basically bootstrap a new blockchain quickly, with better energy efficiency and automated. You don't need to coordinate as soon as it's launched. You need to coordinate the launch, then it's automated and it auto-scale. You can have new validators, etc. But the problem is it's so much automated that at some point it becomes possible, especially because the power is based on money. It becomes possible to take a project. You can take it by having validators. You can take it by just being a staker. In practice, yeah, voting power aligned with money. Money can come from anyone, and it can be very quick. It can be someone coming with a lot of money from Binance. It can be someone created several accounts and at some point in a single block sending transactions to concentrate everything. So technically, a proof of stake could be takeover maybe in one block. In one block, we can just change everything and make the next block run by validators that can basically do whatever they want because they have the super majority of control and can start making things we don't want because it will be a consensus based on evil people. Proof of contribution was designed for two reasons. Why? One is because the philosophy of Gno.land is about the community of builders, and we wanted to have the tokenomics around the contributor. And the second point was to basically compete with proof of stake and proof of work on the concept of being financially driven. Proof of work and proof of stake are both fragile in terms of finance. If someone have enough money, they can take over the network. Even Bitcoin, technically, if you buy all the GPUs on Earth, you can take over the blockchain consensus. So we wanted, one, to create the community, and we wanted also to make it really harder and slower to gain power. So it's not possible in a single block to just take all the voting power. And to do this, proof of contribution was designed as a slow system where you earn point by contributing. And by contributing, you enter a DAO, and the DAO will decide everything. It will own the chain. And by doing this, you can have a consensus which is very hard to take over because you will need years to actually have enough power to start making bad transactions. So at the end, on proof of stake, if you have the top validators, or if the blockchain is limited, I don't know, at 10% per validator, but you have 7 of them. If you have 7 validators by yourself, technically you can bypass the limit and have 70% of the blockchain if you have enough money. On proof of contribution, it will be super hard to get this power, not based on money. It will be visible. So if someone is trying for years to gain enough power, it will be slow and it will be public. So we can anticipate, we can even ask the DAO to, I don't know, create new limits to avoid someone having too much power. So at the end, we expect with less validators to have better decentralization. Because on proof of stake, you can have dynamic voting power. You can have the first validator with so much power while the last one is basically inexistent. On proof of contribution, we can have one validator equal one vote. And then if you have 50 validators, so very few validators, you have 2% per validators. So technically you need to convince to hack or to, yeah, basically it's harder because you need to convince so many different individuals and organizations to join your mafia if you want to coordinate an attack. While on a proof of stake, it's more probable that you will just have to, I don't know, to convince 5 big actors, for instance. So yeah, we plan to have a proof contribution system where if you have 50 nodes, you have 2% per node. If you have 100 nodes, you have 1% per node. So technically, you can make smaller blockchains, or you can make more distributed blockchains with the same amount of hardware.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the way that the proof of contributions DAO structure is going to look like?
Yep, let me check. I think I can share my screen.
Yeah.
Proof of contribution. I can try to do it live. So basically, proof of contribution. How to start? Sorry. So yeah, if we compare with proof of stake, etc. Proof of stake, you have people paying fees, so users sending fees to a reward system. And reward system will basically reward 5% for the validator, 95% for the stakers, based on voting power. And you have some round robin block creation by validators based on their voting power. In practice, you can have variations of proof of stake, but this is the main concept. If you now look at proof of contribution, users, sorry, that's the same at the beginning, users will send fees to actually a pool, to a gas, to a reward pool. Then another contract, the r/sys/rewards, for instance, maybe it will be renamed, but basically a contract will have access to this pool and decide how to split it. The first version of proof of contribution is basically to have, let's say, a certain amount, let's say, I don't know, 2/3 of the rewards for proof of contribution DAO, so the Gov DAO. I can explain after. And maybe, let's say, I don't know, 1/5 for validators. Maybe it will be this, maybe it will be a fixed amount. Maybe we can pay validators a fixed amount per month or per day, like a salary. And maybe, I don't know, the rest for, I don't know, community pool. Just let me add a big warning, draft, because it's just a draft. And so basically, on proof of stake, you have all the systems that are automated. Fees are sent to a reward system. System will distribute tokens to validators and stakers. You have a round robin for the blocks. So the more voting power you have as a validator, the more you will mine blocks. You have also automated reward, automated slashing. So here it's about automated rewards. And you also have automated slashing. Automated slashing is about punishing or freezing. Just freezing is actually something also common. validators based on bad actions. Here you have users sending to the reward pool. You have the same round-robin block creation, except that every validator has the same amount of voting power. So technically, it's a real round-robin. If we have 50 validators, they will all work on they will all mine as many blocks as the other ones. And automated rewards will be done by a contract. The contract actually can be a V1. And maybe we will write a V2 and then make a DAO vote to ask DAO, do you want to switch to V2? And as soon as we switch, we have a V2 of the contract managing the same reward pool. So the blockchain is actually relatively stupid. It won't make the reward by itself. We don't have a reward system like in proof of stake. Instead, we just configure the blockchain to send all the chain fees to a pool accessible by an official contract that can be managed by the Gov DAO, which is the DAO owning the blockchain. So the V1 maybe will be this, and the V2 could be completely different. Here I have another thing actually, which was just focus on this reward system. So chain fees are sent to the chain fees bucket. Chain fees distribution contract V1. Sorry, we have some technical stuff because we're working with Jay on something to make something dynamic. But for instance, you can have an algorithm that will say, okay, 80% is for the validators, and it's a percentage. While we can have, I don't know, 10% for validators, and we can also have some contract royalty. So maybe as a developer, you can earn rewards just because your contract was used or because your library was imported by your contract, etc., etc. And at the end, the goal is for the complexity of reward distribution to not be known by the chain, but by contract. By doing this, with a single bucket, fees bucket, you can basically send it to the GitHub bucket, the contributor DAO bucket, the validator bucket, and then you can let them have their own contract distribution. So we have one contract to make the initial split, and then maybe the GitHub bucket will be something where GitHub users will claim by clicking, by making a transaction. Maybe the contributor DAO bucket will be automatically airdropped. So like proof of stake, you don't do anything and you see your balance growing. Maybe the validator bucket will be automated, maybe it will be different. So yeah, basically we want to have the flexibility of having the blockchain staying not stupid, but as simple as possible, while having the strength of our contract engine to configure and to make choices. So here we want to change anything in the distribution. We want to switch to fixed price. We want to switch to multi-token or whatever. We create a new block, a new contract, a variation of the previous contract. We make a DAO vote, and once it's approved, the next block will use a new reward system automatically. And let me just finish one important thing about proof of contribution. So distribution will be different because it will be managed by contract with versioning. So we can expect changing things without having to redeploy the whole chain, which is what you usually do on Cosmos blockchains. You decide and then you ask validators to update their software for automated rewards. And let me just show you the slashing. So automated reward based on contract, dynamic contracts. Dynamic is a bad word. Simple contracts. And slashing is not automated. Slashing, so actually it's something we are thinking about with Michael from the tokenomics team. Slashing should be, slashing will probably be a mix of automated freeze and manual punishment. So while proof of stake is made to be automated, so punishment should be made automated, reward is automated, promoting a validator is automated, etc. And proof of contribution, we have finally a proof of authority managed by a DAO. So proof of authority is often used as a central way of making blockchains, but here we make the authority decentralized. So it it finally becomes decentralized thanks to this concept. And proof of authority managed by a DAO, and the DAO will decide the validator set. So it's not automated. If you want to join, it's not just about creating a validator and asking people to stake tokens on you. It's about you to convince the DAO that you will be a good validator. So decide the validator set, decide the rewards, and the slashing, etc. And probably, since it will be human, since it will be manual, probably what will happen is that slashing will happen like a trial. So, oh, you made an error. Can you prove that actually it was just a mistake and that you made everything you can to not make it again? Okay, fair enough. No punishment at all. Oh, you definitely tried to break the blockchain. You made a single mistake, but actually you are 100% slashed. So we want to experiment giving power to a DAO to decide all those things. We remove a lot of automations, while in proof of stake we have automation, which is actually what makes proof of stake so cool. Here we try to be more human-centric, more about discussion, collaboration. So potentially what will happen, someone make a mistake, or actually voluntarily try to break the blockchain. They can be maybe automatically freeze, but then they will need to wait for the DAO to decide what is the impact. So maybe 3 weeks after, maybe it will be slow. We can say, okay, you are now fired from the validator set, or you are slashed partially or totally, or no, it's okay. You prove that you won't make it again, and we give you a second chance. So these are the main difference between proof of stake and proof of contribution. Proof of authority is basically the main model here, except that since it's a DAO and a DAO is slow, we also want to have some automation, but not so much. And yeah, I think the secret sauce we have at Gno is to make app chains differently from the rest of Cosmos. Cosmos is really about making app chains by updating the blockchain software, so what the validator will run. Here we keep this option, but we definitely want to try only updating blockchain software when needed, and to focus on updating contracts when we want to make evolution. So maybe the vote for the V8, V9, V10, V11 of something in Gno will always be just writing new code, pushing it as a contract, and opening a DAO vote to basically switch a contract or to call a function. And yeah, I think you have the main idea. I don't know if it's clear for you. Feel free to ask questions.
No, yeah, that's definitely, you laid it out really well. I do have a question on the structure of the DAOs, right? So you mentioned that there was GovDAO. There's probably going to be a community DAO. Could you kind of go into that a little bit?
Yep. So GovDAO is the DAO owning everything, owning the blockchain, responsible for everything. GovDAO will have tiered member levels. So we'll have maybe level 1, 2, 3, to something, can be 5, can be 7, can be 11, can be whatever. Right now, in the architecture doc, we target 7. In practice, so level is like this. We'll have, for instance, level 1, top level. So highest voting power, highest rewards, and potentially highest difficulty to enter, and also KYC. So maybe maybe we want the first level, the top contributors, to not be anonymous. So technically, I will be in level 1, just so you, when I explain this, I speak more about the system, but I will be a member of this thing. KYC, maybe proof of working regularly. So basically being fired or demoted if you don't work anymore.
So question on that, why does the structure need KYC for the top level?
Because let me just show you this. Just imagine you have level 3. Let's say we launch with 4 levels. Tomorrow we say, oh, it's not enough segmented, and we need more levels of voting, of validation, of whatever, of maybe just onboarding. Maybe the problem. Let's say we have 10,000 people here in level 5, and here we have, I don't know, 10. Once again, it's just a draft. Let me write it because I don't want people to believe anything. Maybe I will have 50, etc. So the goal of having multiple layers, one of the goals, because we have several ones, could be to actually say, okay, level 4 is responsible for level 5. Level 3 is responsible for level 4. And in practice, it allows people here to work more on less frequent but more difficult problems while having more noise here, etc. So in practice, we can decide to add a new level under 6, or maybe we'll decide to actually make something like this. I don't know how we'll manage it in terms of UX, but maybe you can say, it makes sense to have more people about management in this level. So the thing you need to understand is the more you are here, so here you have more rewards, higher rewards, voting power, responsibility, impact. And for this, what we expect is for you to be expert, so expertise, contributing in terms of not being lazy, activity, and alignment. Alignment is something we expect to be relatively natural in this ecosystem because people will start level 5 and they will need to go progressively to level 4 and 3. And maybe it will take 6 months for some of them, maybe it will take 5 years for some of them to go there. So when you stay 5 years on a project, we wish such people to actually understand what is the project about. They cannot be high level while saying, oh, I don't know what is Gno and I don't care. In general, if you are there for 5 years, you can really expect them to be very aligned, etc. And one of the last things we want with for the top level, maybe the 2 first levels will have KYC, just because alignment is about two main things in my definition. One of them is about being aligned with the project, its philosophy, etc. Another level of alignment is about, how can we say this? It's about not have conflicts of interest. Actually, it's not having them. To have known conflicts of interest and proofs that the blockchain is always your priority, because we can expect so many people writing Gno code not just because they like Gno, but because they have an interest of having such good ecosystem. So potentially we have people here with a famous app, and what we want is to protect the blockchain from people with short-term expectations that could conduct to reduce the security in long term. So for top levels, we will expect KYC, we will expect transparency reports. So you need to list your conflict of interest. It's not you shouldn't have them, but you need to be transparent about them, and we need to take them into account. If at some point there is a decision to take and you have a to-be conflict of interest, we will just keep your opinion on this specific question. So the good thing is, this is definitely something about blockchains that very few people enjoy. But once again, it will be maybe for 10, maybe 20, I don't know, people. It won't happen here. Here, if we have some KYC, it will be anonymous KYC. It will be proof of humanity, proof of uniqueness. But here, it will be more than KYC. It will be KYC and reports to basically secure the project if you have too much power. Probably here, it's okay to not care because 50 people, we can take some risk. Maybe we'll decide to add KYC here. Maybe actually, the level 1 DAO will start by saying we are the only one with KYC, and as soon as level 2 becomes too big, then level 1 will make a vote to require level 2 to be KYC'd before entering level 2. So it's something that will come with time. The amount of levels will change over time. The constraint to enter a level will change over time. But
so,
level 1 will be the
question: How do you see people moving sort of up the hierarchical sort of structure here? It's like if you start in everyone starts in level 5. Does that mean like if you own a GNOT token, you're already in level 5, or do you have to also contribute to be there?
No, you need to contribute. So no, important concept. We have the GovDAO and its levels. And then you have an ecosystem of DAOs, but I put a wall between because they are completely independent. Here we will have the Works DAO. Works DAO is, maybe we change the name, but Works DAO is the DAO responsible to build this ecosystem. GovDAO will mandate Works DAO to build the ecosystem. GovDAO will mandate and give budget so that Works DAO can hire people. So Works DAO, it's like the HR of a big company. In Works DAO, you will have sub DAOs. One of them will be
The community one?
The evaluation DAO, sorry. Responsible for reviewing technical contribution. And very important, it's not about just reviewing, it's reviewing and scoring the contributions. We will have maybe support DAO, maybe managed by you, built by you, architected by you. And support DAO maybe will also review community moderators and score their contributions. We will have other DAOs. For instance, we will have the engineering DAO. Engineering DAO will be responsible of some part of the project. So we'll have sub-DAOs here. We'll have, for instance, TM2 DAO. We'll have GNOVM DAO. And the goal for each DAO is to be autonomous, to be able to have children, and to have budget, and to have their plan, to have projects. So in practice, here you can expect to have top-down OKRs. So engineering DAO decide how to manage this year budget. TM2 DAO, GNOVM DAO are responsible to split this budget into smaller components, and then sub-DAOs will make bottom-up improvements. So they will make tasks, and they will earn money in exchange, or score points, it will depend. And you make your tasks that actually are linked to an OKR. So the goal is from top level. And at the end, maybe you can just don't care that much about the rest of the project. Maybe you only love the GNOVM. You just love the language, and maybe you just don't care about blockchains. You can be a lead in the GNOVM DAO, working on this specific point of the project, making tasks that are actually linked with a big picture, and it's okay. So you can try to look at the project from a top level overview and understand the roadmap and everything, or you can just focus because you have a single expertise and it's okay. So you have multiple DAOs. Maybe we'll have a community DAO. I think if we have a community DAO, I think it won't be in the same part. Works DAO is the umbrella DAO above several sub-DAOs. GovDAO mandate Works DAO to distribute the load, pay contributions, score people, so can be candidate, can be other people, and basically Works DAO will generate your Web3 resume portfolio with your scores. Maybe we have, I don't know, 1,000 I don't know, code contribution points and 2,000 support points. Here you have the portfolio. It's managed by WorksDAO. WorksDAO decide how they want to manage this. Maybe tomorrow we have WorksDAO V2, and WorksDAO V2 is basically the same, except that it proposed a new way of scoring the contribution. Same as V1 with different scoring system. It's an option. Once again, it's about contract, it's about being flexible, it's about proposing competing solution and letting the DAO decide to fully switch the mandate from WorksDAO V1 to WorksDAO V2, or maybe to ask to provide the double budget and to work for 1 year with the two versions on parallel and decide after 1 year the one who was the best. So GovDAO is actually looking at portfolio to promote people. So how to enter level 1, etc. Actually, to enter even level 5, you need to make contributions. Can be on code, on support, on whatever new DAOs that we will create. DAO with points. So we will have different ways to measure contribution. Each of them will be specialized because you don't review contribution on code and support the same way. And WorksDAO is autonomous, as budget, give task, make the OKR. So here is where things are super active. It's a bounty system, it's a launchpad system, it's the investment system. Everyone will use mostly those stuff. And GovDAO has a responsibility of scaling itself by promoting people. So, there is someone new making good contribution. Okay, you enter level 5 super easily because you made contributions. Just enter level 5. Then we will let level 4 decide to promote you. Same way by looking at your contribution. You made good contribution. You make I don't know 10 times more contribution than anyone else in your level. Maybe you will be promoted to level 4, level 3, level 2, etc. So GovDAO has responsibility to scale itself by looking at WorksDAO portfolio, has a responsibility to vote for everything on chain, and last point, and pay salaries. Right now we are, so once again, let me put a big draft here because that's definitely something that can change. But pay salaries in the sense, here you make the contributions, you earn points. Sometimes it will be bounty. You make the task, you receive money. Sometimes it will be about earning points, so you belong to become a full-time member. Even if it's not a full-time job for you, you just made enough contributions to say, okay, I'm participating on a weekly basis, making good contribution, and so we want to. So the chain will want to basically put you in a level where your rewards are not based on your contributions anymore, but we take the best, like a grant. A grant you pay before seeing the result. So, okay, we trust you to be someone good. We want to actually give you enough money so you can work more on Gno because you don't need to have a second job on the side. So you can be paid by GovDAO. So here is where you are active. You try to gain points. You try to have a nice portfolio. And once you enter GovDAO, your other goal is to get promoted, to earn more rewards, etc. And once
So how are people promoted? Does it go through like a proposal?
It will be decided by the DAOs. So what we want right now is for each level is managed by levels above. Level 5 is managed by all the level above, and level 2 is managed just by level 1. Level 1 will be super slow. It will be a proposal for sure. Maybe from level 5 to level 4, level 4 will say, okay, we don't care about making proposals. There are so many people. Maybe they will want to automate it. And that's okay for us because level 4 is deciding how they move in their own level. So in practice, level 3, level 2, and level 1 are protected even if they dislike the concept of level 4 being lazy and wanting to automate everything. It's okay because people won't be able to move to level 3. So basically, yeah, each DAO decides and can change their mind on how to promote people.
Okay. Well, awesome. This has been a really great overview. We are approaching the hour. Do you have a little extra time so we can go through the last couple of questions?
Sure.
Dang, what else you got on that Miro board?
Oh, other things, other cool things, but let's see if you need them or not. It's my Miro board, random discussions. It's each time I don't have enough content to have a dedicated Miro board.
That's cool. Yeah, that's a great tool. All right, let's dive into some of the last remaining sort of like conclusion questions. This one's pretty simple. What do you personally look forward to the most with Gno.land?
What do you mean?
I guess like what do you hope that you achieve with the project?
So if we speak about the future, I hope, so this is a blog post I want to write with Christina. I hope to make what we made in the Web 2 world 20th century. I just don't know the date, but let's say, pretty sure I'm wrong, but okay, let's say this. You have assembly. Assembly is before C. Let me just right now put C. So one of the, I'm pretty sure it's definitely not this. Let's say this. And after you add Python, Ruby, Go, etc., etc. What happened in the computer history is that at this period, assembly allowed to create simple apps by experts. The applications were super simple because assembly was hard. So you created simple things. And when I say you, a bunch of people were able to create simple things. C allowed to make more complex app by more people. And finally, created simple languages. I can even add, I don't know, a PHP, for instance, which is known to be super easy to learn. Here you can make a very complex app by juniors. And I think we are basically at the same in Web3. I think Bitcoin is probably here. No, let's say more Ethereum. Ethereum for me is assembly. Then you add, then you have Gno, and then you have the future. Things after Gno. So I don't think we are competing with Ethereum. I think we are just making something which allows you to create stronger applications with with more simplicity. So basically, you will have more people writing better apps. If you want a simple example, on Ethereum, the best apps you can write will be mostly about balance management, so tokens, NFTs, etc. That because the language is complex, but it works pretty good with numbers, with arrays of numbers, etc. It can definitely build stronger things, but just most of the time, it will be about balance management. So integers manipulation. Gno, we have complex structures, etc. Basically, one of the first examples we wrote was a forum. A forum, if you ask any developer in the world, coming from C, from Python, from Ruby, is something you learn during school. You are second year school, whatever the language is, you will write a forum or something equivalent. So it's something simple, but just write a forum on Ethereum, a forum with comments, with sub-comments, with recursive comments, with likes, etc. You have some system like this. Most of the time, they are a mix of a lot of Web 2 stuff and Ethereum. So it's what I name Web 2.5. Because it's not fully driven by Web3. So forum is super hard to write on Ethereum or with Web 2.5. And super hard is, once again, it's not impossible, just we need super expert people, and it will be hard and probably super expensive in terms of gas and super expensive in terms of audit. The reason is because Ethereum is complex. For developers, it's hard to make something secure. So I think we have something similar to assembly. We can create stuff, but it's expensive and for an elite. On Gno, we can create a forum as one of the simple applications. One of our, for instance, workshops for people discovering Gno is to write a forum. So in 1 hour, you write a forum in Gno. By doing this, actually, what I want for Gno is to focus more on social coordination, while I consider the other blockchains to focus on simpler problems that people already need, like DeFi. DeFi is something we need, and it's simple enough, so it makes sense to invest money on it. If writing a forum is nearly impossible here and easy to do here, what we can try is to focus more. It's to focus more on social coordination. So what I expect is to basically replace your phone apps by Web3 apps. And your phone apps are not just DeFi. You have communication, can be email, chat, or whatever. We have news. News is something about social coordination. Knowledge. Communication, Twitter, mail, messages, social networks. And at some point, we can, once we have those next generation of coordination tools, we can expect to start competing with democracy. Here is basically simple applications that make sense to have a decentralized alternative because you want them on your phone. And if you depend on decentralization because you're in country in wars or whatever, or if you're just enthusiast, or if we are in the future, because at some point I think in the future, people will get upset to give to have too many fake news, to give all their data to Facebook, to consider Wikipedia as something where you never can trust because, yeah, it's interesting, but I can't trust it actually. So at some point, with those simple next step applications, you can expect that we have enough background to start making democracy. So with I don't know, with liquid governance, with UBI, etc. So yeah, I would say the two things I have for Gno is one, to allow to unlock more complex app by more people, to focus on social coordination, which is definitely something not enough managed in Web3, and to start building better apps. So at some point, we have enough foundations to become a viable solution for the humanity. So I think this is what will happen in the next 5-10 years. And this is what I expect to see in the next 10-20 years.
Wow. That's a really powerful metaphor, especially the comparison with the timeline where you start with assembly C, Python, and then kind of see things moving forward. And
Yeah, that's why I want to
yeah,
write with Christina, because we know this history. The history above, it's known. Everyone knows what happens when C is released. We know what happened when C is released, and we even know what happens after. So once again, GNO, I expect it to be actually stronger than C, but I mostly expect to see what will happen after GNO, and I really hope thanks to GNO. I think GNO will unlock an important phase, the middle phase, and then there will be a better evolution. Maybe we'll be behind some of them, or maybe we'll have finished our job by making the C of Web3. But yeah, the future, we are really right now in Web3, in my opinion, at the assembly stage. We are so young in the Web3, and yeah, if today we only had assembly, I just promise the world would be very different. Everyone is on mobile with so many things automated. It's definitely because we went here. So I think we need to do the same for Web3. And I know what happened here, and I even know we know what happens after.
that's great. So Manfred, sort of to wrap it up, let's pull a little call to action here. For people that are interested in contributing to Gno.land, what kind of first steps would you recommend?
So if they are developer, they should go on GitHub, try to read our blog post, try to read the issues, try to listen to the meetings we are doing on a weekly basis with so yeah, github.com. So they can come here, try to look at the repo, try to look at the video and everything, and just participate. You can try to work on the blockchain itself, but you can just write contracts. Writing contracts is useful. We are at the beginning of a new language. All the first libraries will be inspiration for the next one, will be examples. So if you are a developer, write code, whatever it is. If you are not a developer, it's harder for me to reply, but basically you can expect to just find ways to collaborate. Can be by trying to organize local meetups, to help on moderation, to help on translation, on organization of the project, to work on non-technical parts that requires some architecture spirit. For instance, if you look at some of the Game of Thrones main issues, evaluation DAO and governance module are things that will finish as code. Implementation is about coding evaluation DAO, but the 4 first bullet points can be made by non-technical people. It's about trying to explain how a system can work when it's fully automated on chain. So you can work by just finding inspiration in the wild, just saying, this is how it works in Ethereum, on this company, on this country. This is how it worked 1,000 years ago in this country. It can be about providing specs or just helping the project to happen. So that's the main kind of contributions we are looking for right now. Everything about the project. If you can't, I don't think it's maybe the best moment for you to join. Maybe you should wait for the next big release, where actually can start building their apps and expect the app to be adopted. Because here you will have ways to collaborate with us or collaborate with apps, or maybe try to run your own venture with other people, and create dApps that can that can become business or whatever.
For someone that already has a little bit of technical background and knowledge of Go, are there any specific contributions you can think of that would be particularly valuable for Gno right now?
So we have a label named Good First Issue. Good First Issue is good for newcomers. So all the issues here with the Good First Issue label are in general simpler to get started. Improved Gno.land is something you don't need to be an expert in blockchain. You just need to be a gopher, not a blockchain expert. And you can even don't care about blockchains. Gonna test compatible. Here it's about fixing tests in Go. So once again, you don't need to understand blockchain. Testing the current floating point. Here it's about just testing to run code on various hardware and make a report. So here it's about being technical, but in practice, it's even not about writing code. It's about just comparing how float numbers works depending on your architecture. Because our job is to make deterministic execution, and we don't want people to buy a specific hardware. So here it's about just testing things everywhere. Here is about configuring GitHub. It's not even code, but you need to understand how GitHub works. Please give a look at Good First Issue. It's definitely technical, but it's for newcomers. And feel free, it's GitHub. Feel free to ask questions in comments or to ask question on, I don't know, on Discord, etc. So we can try to reply.
Perfect. Awesome, Manfred. This was great. Really appreciate your time. And hopefully that gave a little bit more clarity to the community, kind of get an idea of like what the DAO structures looks like and everything else. I have one last question for you. What have you enjoyed the most about contributing to Gno?
It's not a single thing. It's working on a so beautiful technical challenge that makes sense in terms of I want to be at the end of the journey of my vision, and with an amazing team. So yeah, every day I wake up, I know that the challenge will be good, that my teammates will be awesome, and that we are doing it for something awesome. So yeah, just I feel at my place. I feel I can't do something more valuable for me and for the rest of yeah. I am at my place.
That's awesome. You found it.
Yeah.
All right, Manfred. Well, this was great. Let's do it again pretty soon.
Sure.
And I guess I'll catch you on Slack. Cool.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody. Ciao.
Bye.